About Deb Reagan, executive director, coffee for good with others. Deb Happy helps
Oh, I did.
found coffee for good to address the high unemployment rate
Hmm.
amongst adults with
Okay.
developmental disabilities. Her specimen
Intellectually.
is her nephew, Harry, who lives in a group home too far away from Greenwich to participate in the training platform. But her hope is that Coffee for Good is just the beginning of the employment training platform for people with different abilities. Deb is inspired by the young adults that have trained at Coffee for Good and is incredibly grateful to the many amazing volunteers who have given their time and tablets to make Coffee for Good a reality. Deb worked in banking, consulting before leaving the workforce. She raised her three sons, Jack, P, and Tommy. Deb and her husband, John, lived in Greenwich.
Thank you, Jake.
Megan, do you want to just give everybody
Welcome.
a little reminder? Nice job, Jake. Megan,
Yes.
go ahead. Do you want to remind
So-
everybody?
Everybody, please put on mute so Debbie can talk about her info, the training for today. So everybody, please put on mute so listen to
You're-
Deb. Thank you for your
Okay, well-
patience.
Thank you, everyone, for inviting me to this Zoom presentation. I've never done one, so you have to bear with me a little bit. As Jake so nicely said, I am the executive director of Coffee for Good. Coffee for Good was founded, as Jake also noted, to reduce the high unemployment rate of people with developmental disabilities. It was additionally founded to increase workforce diversity. So I'm going to do just a general, very simple presentation. I'm going to tell you why, a little bit more about why we started a training platform, about what Coffee for Good is, how we work, and then some of our outcomes. So the other reason why is that we believe that we should be increasing workforce diversity, and that diversity should be a much more broadly defined. Interestingly enough, Harvard Business Review this summer published an article titled "Disability as a Source of Competitive Advantage." It's a really interesting article, and they did a lot of research, and they came up with 4 reasons as to how hiring employees with disabilities will increase the competitive advantage of any company. I won't go through those 4 reasons. If somebody wants to get more information, or I can share the Harvard Business Review article with Debbie after my speech. But we're living at a time where I think that people do appreciate, if you've got it written up in the Harvard Business Review, that people really understand that workforce diversity is important. So that's why we started the training platform. What is Coffee for Good? Coffee for Good operates a coffee shop open to the public. We in fact just closed down. We just finished. We closed at 5:30, and there's people still in the back right now cleaning up. It's an actual business. We have actual customers. We sell. We have to meet all the standards, industry standards. Trainees are paid the minimum wage while they work. They're paid above the minimum wage because we give them a gift card allowance each time they work. But they get paid $15 an hour. They work a 3-hour shift 3 times a week typically, and that allows us to train as many people as possible. So Monday through Friday, we have 4 shifts each day. This shift right now was the closing shift. And then on Saturdays, we have 3 shifts. We close a little bit earlier, and then we're closed on Sundays. The idea is that will allow people after 6 to 18 months to start to solidify skills, to ultimately find competitive integrated employment. So how Coffee for Good operates. We use all standard industry equipment and software. Everybody is learning all the skills while they work here. So after anybody can come in and apply, we're an independent nonprofit. So you can apply for training on our website. Then we do an in-person interview. And then after the interview, we do a 3-hour unpaid assessment. If that all works well, if everybody's happy, the trainee, the young person will be hired. So we work on technical skills. We go through 3 main functions. We have a point of sale job, we have a back bar job, and we have a barista job. And everyone will rotate through those jobs as they learn. And then everybody will do everything else involved in running a coffee shop. And everyone does that, from the volunteers to the trainees to the few supervisors that we have on staff. So that entails stocking, inventory, mopping, vacuuming at the end of every day, cleaning tables, bagging coffee, making coffee. There's just a million little smaller jobs that have to be done. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and we try to match our trainees with future jobs that will tap into their interests. As noted in that Harvard Business Review, many of our trainees have a unique talent, and we call that trainees that are trainee superpower. We have a large group of volunteers who work on what we call our integrated inclusive employment team. This team seeks out future employers, and they bring them into the coffee shop to kind of introduce the whole concept, but also really to educate them as to how capable our young adults are and all of the various jobs that they can do. So we've realized that we're not just training young adults with developmental disabilities, we're also training the general public and future employers. As I said, the goal is to find competitive integrated employment, which many of you know is at least a minimum wage job at around 15 to 22 hours a week. This group of volunteers also works with resumes, works with trainees to update resumes, in-phone interviewing skills, and in-person interviewing skills. I want to back up a minute. I glossed over one thing in the how we operate. While we're working with each trainee, every 3 to 4 months, we do an assessment for the trainee, and it involves a first step, which is a DocuSign document, and it's a self-assessment, and it's just kind of checking off boxes as to how each person thinks they're doing. And the majority of the categories are not the technical skills. The majority of the categories are personal skills, like, are you a good team worker? How are you doing on customer service? The technical skills, almost everybody learns very quickly. I would say almost all my trainees right now, except for maybe the few new ones, are all much better baristas than I am. Some of them have like amazing barista art. So everyone goes up that learning curve pretty quickly on whether they're working our point of sale system, whether they're fulfilling orders from our pastry case or a back bar, or whether they're actually operating our espresso machine. But like I said, that assessment process is to really highlight the strengths and what's going well, and maybe focus a little bit on what we need to improve over the 6 to 18 months. That's a general time period. People will stay with us anywhere from 6 months to 18 months in the training platform. And it really is a little dependent on finding a job when the end of that program is. Some people, they come in and we have them a job after 6 months. Some people, it's a little bit longer. So as I said, we have a whole group of people going out and looking for jobs and bringing employers in. To date, we have trained 42 young adults. We placed over 20 into competitive integrated employment. Our current employers are Gregory's Coffee, the Maritime Aquarium at Norwalk, Honey Joe's Coffee, YMCA of Greenwich, Odalise, Kios Hardware and Paint, the Bruce Museum, Wilton High School Food Service, and Home Depot. We actually are just placing our 3rd employee at Gregory's Coffee. Gregory's Coffee in Greenwich was our first employer. And he's opening a coffee shop in Darien, and he's has hired one of our young ladies who will soon go over and work there. We do tend to focus on where our trainees live. So we're looking for jobs close to where they live so they can hopefully get there by walking or by public transportation or by help from their parent or guardian. And then post-graduation, we have matched up a volunteer with each of our trainees. And that volunteer is what we're calling, and we're just working through everyone now, we're calling it a professional mentor or advocate. And it came out of one of our first graduates who was placed at the Maritime Aquarium at Norwalk, didn't know how to self-advocate in his job. He needed help. He was getting a lot of hours and working, but he was tending to work every weekend and holidays and things like that. So he came back and asked us how he self-advocates, how we should talk to his boss. And that's when we realized that we really should match people up with a volunteer who can touch base, whether it's a phone call, a text, or having a cup of coffee if they need some help or guidance. So we've done that. And we feel that's really important because it gives us that connection to both the graduate and also the employer, because the employer can also say, hey, I need, I need more graduates. You know what? See, I've never done this before. I'm going to walk through the slideshow. I haven't been doing the slideshow, just my, do I know how to do this? So here we go. Hold on, everybody, bear with me. So here's some of our trainees with one of our volunteers. And this is, I'm sorry, I'm going back to the beginning. This is why we started Coffee for Good, to lower the unemployment rate and to increase workforce diversity. Here's Austin. This is what we are. We're open to the public, and we provide a training platform. We pay minimum wage, and we help transition to competitive integrated employment. Every step of the way, we follow standard operating procedures. So we want every step to be a learning process for everyone. Again, this is just a little bit of what I've gone over, that every trainee works a 3-hour shift 3 times a week. And then what I said earlier is that we try to customize the training to each person. And so we work with those person's strength. We have some trainees who come to us at the beginning and they say, I love to cook. I volunteered a lot at a soup kitchen. I've got great kitchen skills and I'd like to work for a caterer or a commissary kitchen. So those individuals right now, we have a few of them, but like Richard is one person I can think of right away. And whenever we're cooking today, one of our volunteers was in the back making quiches, and Richard was her sous chef. So we try to bring people back as much as possible to help us with, preparing the food that we sell, but also to give them the kitchen skills and the specific skills of what they need to go out into the workforce. As I said, everybody, and I think everybody knows this, everybody has strengths and weaknesses. And what we found is that many of our trainees have what we call a superpower. And the best example I'll give is we have a young graduate, her name is Mary, and we've placed her at the YMCA here in Greenwich, and she's the receptionist. And Mary's superpower is that she could meet you just once and meet you a year later, and she'll remember your name. And I'm so not good at that. So the executive director of the YMCA here in town has said to us that he actually said, where did you find Mary? He's had his board members come to him and said, where did you find Mary? She's so amazing. She knows our name. She greets us. She says hello. And they just love that. So again, we try to fit people into jobs where they're going to really thrive and excel at. So again, Coffee for Good is providing the job training, the skills, and the confidence to find competitive integrated employment. This is a photo of our trainee Spencer at the Maritime Aquarium, and he's working at the desk. He was working at the artificial, I forget what it's called. I forget what it's called, but anyway, he was a cashier at this desk. So he's very happy at his job, and the Maritime Aquarium is very happy with him. So at the end of training, when our trainees have found a job, we celebrate their finishing of the program with a graduation ceremony. So this is our trainee, Shanalee. She just graduated at the end of June, and she now works for the Eau de Lis Cafe at the Bruce Museum. That Bruce Museum is a big museum in the town of Greenwich, and they just had a huge expansion. And when they were undergoing construction, the head of our inclusive employer team brought in the chief operating officer. And so that was a 2-year process. And she said, as soon as we open up, we'll hire some people. And they ended up hiring a young man named Danny Clark in their museum protection team. And I'll talk about him in a minute. And then Shanalee technically works for Eau de Lis Cafe at the Bruce Museum. So with the reopening of this museum, they hired 2 of our graduates. Hold on, how do I get this to go? So here's a picture, and I'm going to stop on this for a minute so everyone can see. Here's a picture of some of our graduates at their jobs. As I said, we try to find people jobs close to where they live. So you see the picture of Spencer at Keogh's Hardware. That's a hardware store up in Wilton, and it's at the end of a street, so he can walk to work, which is great. That would be the best job of all, is to walk to work. So these are just some of the jobs, as I said, that we have from Gregory's to the Maritime. So we don't place people all in hospitality. As you can see, we have hardware, we have museums. If somebody says to me, I want to work in with pets or something like that, we go out to various places. We try to align the job that we're looking for our graduate with both their location, but also with their interests. Now I have a wonderful story. This is one of our recent graduates. This is Danny Clark. He is on the museum protection team. As you can see on his shirt, it says at the Bruce Museum. So that's basically security. He's working in security. This is him with one of his colleagues at the museum. And when he was getting towards the end of training and this job became available, I sat him down one day and talked to him. And I said to him, he has a very strong desire. He's done a lot of volunteering at a private school in town. And he had a real strong desire to maybe work with children or work with kids in education. And I said, Danny, this maybe is not the perfect job because it's a little different. It's, you're still working with people, but it's more, it's more of a security job, which he also liked too. He had done that at Greenwich High School. But I said, the thing about the Bruce Museum and many employers these days is they want to have you for the long term. So, and I said to him, this isn't just a job, it's a career. So that once you prove yourself and they see that you're, loyal and that you show up on time and that you're pleasant and professional, maybe a year and a half in, you can say to your boss, is there any chance that I can go? There's a big education program at the Bruce Museum. You can ask if you can maybe, go over and work in that area. And so what I said to him is, I said, the Bruce Museum, this position is not just a job, it's a career. So I used the word career. I didn't think much of it at the time. Well, Danny went home and he said to his mom, he said very excitedly, Mom, I'm going to have a career. And so he's a young man. He's 29 years old. He's heard his brothers, cousins, all his friends talk about their careers. And I was the first person in his life that had used that word with him, that he would have a career. So when his mom came back in and told me that story, I was incredibly touched. I hadn't really considered the power of that word. So it's become a little bit of one of our mottos is creating careers, because that's really what we want to do. We want to be a springboard for people. We want to give people the skills, the professional skill, both the technical skills, the professional skills, which are more important, and the confidence so that they can go and do a myriad, a whole bunch of different jobs in the future. So we just want to be the beginning of that process and really educate everyone as to how capable this whole population is. So as I said, we're a real business. Customers are important. If you're ever in Greenwich, please come in. Customers help us train. And volunteers are very important. Let me go through my little slideshow. So here I am talking about educating everyone. This is outside the coffee shop. We're located in right off of the Post Road in Greenwich, in a building that was built as a home in 1858. So as you can kind of see behind me, we have a coffee shop with a lot of character and tons of free and ample parking. So again, if you're ever in Greenwich, please make sure to make us part of that trip to Greenwich. But as I said earlier, we feel that we're not only providing skills and training to our trainees, we're really educating the whole community. So customers help us, volunteers are crucial to success, and employers are our partners. Here's just a little video that's going to be less than 30 seconds. This is one of our baristas making a latte, and you can see it's a beautiful kind of heart there. That's Danny working the POS with a customer. Here's David cleaning up, and that's May serving a drink. So I think there's one last slide, which is some of our graduates. Yep, that's a group of our graduates. And I think everybody can recognize the young lady in the pink hat in this picture, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So
What's
let
up,
me-
Yes, I
so
do.
let me know if anybody has any questions. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do you want to stop sharing and maybe we can see if anybody has their hands up, Deb?
I can't see that. I think I have to. I'm sorry, people. I need
Here,
some.
I can do it if you want me to.
Yeah, could you do it? I can't see the,
Oh, I think so.
I'm not in that screen. Oh, wait.
Okay, here, I'm just gonna, hold on. I'm just gonna, oops, do that. And then I'm gonna stop share and see if that works.
Okay.
And then we'll do
Yeah,
this.
that's better.
And then we're all together. There we go.
Okay.
All right.
So,
I saw Kimberly
Yeah.
had a question come through the chat.
okay.
So, Kimberly, do you want to go first with your question?
For me?
Kimberly, then we'll get to you next, Jake.
Okay, thank you.
So how can a person with a disability maintain their job, especially in competitive employment?
Well, I will tell you that not all of our graduates are still in the same job that we place them in, because that's a great question. It's like everybody, your job changes. We had one young man, Austin, who's also in that picture, the group picture. He went to work for Playables in Fairfield, and the manager changed. So when the manager changed, it didn't work out for him. But we have worked with him and his mom. And we're probably going to hear next week that he's been hired by Home Depot. So we definitely stay with our trainees and help them if the first job didn't work out. We kind of look at maybe why it didn't work out. Was it the commute? Was there other factors? And we try to maybe tweak the next job so that it's a better fit, and we help them find that next job. So does that answer your question? And the other thing I was going to say is, I think maintaining a job and keeping a job is where that professional mentor advocate comes in. I think if there's one of our graduates is struggling in a job or is having problems, that they should be able to reach out to the advocate and talk to them about whatever problem or struggles that they're having in their job.
Thanks, Kimberly. Let's go over to Jake. I see a lot of hands, so we'll try to get to everybody. Okay, great. And we appreciate the participation. Jake, go ahead.
Do you put any like caramel toppings in iced coffee or chocolate toppings?
We have a vanilla syrup. Yeah, we have a vanilla syrup, and we have a really, really good hot chocolate and mochas. So we have the only flavoring we do is vanilla. We do a vanilla syrup flavoring, but we've just been voted the best coffee shop in Fairfield County by Mifflin Media. So people come in and they really like us. Most of our customers come back. We knew that to make this work, we would have to sell very high quality coffee. So we have coffees, iced teas, we have smoothies. We have about 4 different flavors of smoothies. Very healthy, but very tasty. We have, like I said, 4 or 5 iced teas always on tap. We have filter coffees. We have lattes, cappuccinos, espressos, all of those drinks. And then we have really yummy baked goods that get delivered fresh daily, or we make them ourselves. So we really, where we live in this part of the world, everybody likes really good food. And so we knew that going into this, that we would have to sell really good, high quality beverages and food. So I hope that answers your question. I hope that makes it more appealing to come visit us.
I've been there and their coffee is delicious. And I even left behind a couple of bags and gave them to neighbors. So I highly recommend. Okay, let's see who's got how about Alexandra? Why don't you go next?
Of course. Deb, is there fun activities in Coffee for Good?
Oh, well, I should have mentioned that, Alexandra. I forgot to mention this. We have even before we started, we have a very active and big teen board. So we actually have 5 high schools in our town. We have 1 big public high school and 4 private high schools, and then a lot of surrounding high schools. So we have over 50 people on our teen board, and our teen board is diverse. We made sure that it was a diverse teen board. And the primary objective of this teen board is to host socially inclusive events. So we invite all of our trainees, everybody on the team board, obviously, all of our graduates, and then everybody at Greenwich High School and Unified Sports and Special Olympics and whatnot. And we meet once a month during the school year from September to June, and we have various things from we meet on Sunday afternoons in the coffee shop when we're closed, and we meet and we have karaoke parties and pumpkin painting and kind of open to anything that the teen board wants to throw. Last year, the teen board hosted a classic car show while the coffee shop was open in the back parking lot. So we really, the objective is for our teen board to learn what it's like. I want everybody to learn what it's like to be on the board of a nonprofit. But, and so the main objective is to host those socially inclusive events, but the second objective is to publicize the coffee shop, because we are still really new. We opened just in June of 2021. So we're like 2 years and 3 or 4 months in operation. So we've not been open that long, and we still to this day have customers come walking in and they say, boy, I've never been here. I didn't know this place was here. We're not right in the commercial district. We're very close to it, but we're not on Greenwich Avenue. We're a little bit off. So if any publicity is good publicity.
Thank you. Okay, let's go over to Nick. What's your question for Deb, Nick?
Well, my question is, are there any like programs like yours through other parts of the state?
The answer is yes. There's starting to be more and more programs. I apologize. The leaf blower guys are here outside. We're on a big campus. Hopefully they're done. So I know that Trumbull High School has opened a cafe. There are others. So Trumbull High School has one now. I think there's a few others. I'm not sure if they're permanent employers though, or training platforms. We are unique in that we pay our trainees when they're here. It is a job. They get paid a salary. We pay them twice a month. But it's not a permanent job. I mean, it's meant to be, like I said, that springboard to better things so we can bring more people in and train them. So I know the Trumbull Public School has a business called Next Chapter Bookstore, which is a bookstore, and they've got a little coffee shop in the back. I know there's a coffee shop opening in Sleepy Hollow, but that's going the other direction from you guys. It's not Connecticut, it's in Westchester. But I don't know of other training platforms right now further out in the state. I really hope there will be, because I think they're important. I think it's important to get paid training. And like I said, not just to train the people who we're actually paying, but to train the whole community.
Great question. Thank you, Nick. Let's go over to, let's see who's got their hands up. I see a lot of them. How about Robin?
So I have a question, but my question might, I don't want my question to come out the wrong way, because I'm really good at that. My question to you is, how do you, I guess, convince the employers that we are not liabilities? because I often find, especially in the job I just had, that they always looked at me as a liability. I would work really, really hard, and with having autism, they would constantly look at me as a liability. And I'm curious how you educate the community so that they don't look at us that way.
Well, that's a good question, I think, but it is hard to answer.
That's
I
why I
think
like to ask
I
them.
think it just takes time. No, I think it just takes time. Let me just go through very quickly, because I do have little bullet points on this. So I think everybody has heard of Harvard. It's one of the top universities in the world, and it's one of the top schools in this country. And as I said, Harvard Business Review, which is the Harvard Business School, publishes, I don't know how many times a year they publish, but the people that write for them are super smart. And as I said, there was just in this year in July, August issue, there was that article titled "Disability is a Source of Competitive Advantage." And they talk about 4 things that they're research, and they did research. It's not like they just made it up. They did research, and they said 4 things. They said disabilities often confer unique talents that make people better at particular jobs. Number 2, the presence of employees with disabilities elevates the culture of the entire organization, making it more collaborative and boosting productivity. Number 3, a reputation for inclusiveness enhances a firm's value proposition with customers who become more willing to build long-term relationships with the company. So that's called customer loyalty. It increases customer loyalty. And 4, being recognized as a socially responsible firm gives them an edge in competition for capital and talent. And that also will increase employee retention, not just customer retention, but other employees like to work at a place that's diverse and is socially responsible. So I will say that the world is changing, and it's changing for the better. It may not be changing fast enough, but I think it really is. I gave this same presentation this morning, and I mentioned to them that we get phone calls all the time from people who want to start a coffee shop that's a training platform. And we've given advice to people. The Trumbull Public High School, we gave them advice before they opened. I'm very happy to give people tours and kind of walk them through how we operate and kind of what our space does and how much you need a ton of storage space for a coffee shop. Like, who knew? But coffee cups and plastic cups and all your supplies. I mean, we have a basement that's just full of stuff. So we've given a lot of advice from, as I mentioned, there's this coffee shop that's opening soon in Sleepy Hollow, New York. She even brought her architect in here, and he walked through the whole space and saw how we did it. We got lots of advice from people. Like, someone said to us, coffee shops, suburban coffee shops, the revenue is generated by number of seats, whereas city coffee shops, it's generated by walkability, like how many people walk by your door. So the person said to us, you're a suburban coffee shop. When you go to planning and zoning, get as many seats as you can. So when you come in here, you won't see a big couch. You'll see lots of tables and lots of seats where people can come in and meet their friends and have coffee. But we've had a lot of support, and the world is changing. And like I said, we share our advice all the time as to what's worked for us and where we made some small mistakes. We did a lot of work before we opened. COVID helped us because it delayed our planning and zoning, so it gave us more time to research. But we're very happy to share that knowledge. So like I said, we've shared our knowledge with a coffee shop as close as just Westchester. And we've also shared it as far away. We did a Zoom with 2 women who opened up a training platform in New Zealand. So that's the other side of the world. And it's a coffee shop called Flourish Tapakuna. I forget. It's in New Zealand. It's not in Auckland. I think it's a suburb of Auckland. So the world is changing. I guess that's the best way I can answer. It's changing for the better. And I think that the one story, we send a first day email now when we have a new employer, and we ask the employers to share that with the colleagues of the people that will work with our trainees. And this is the story that we tell them, because usually we bring in the owner or the executive director or whoever runs it, and maybe the day-to-day people aren't as well educated as the person we've brought in. So we tell the story of, we've been given a lot of advice by, there's a company called Wawa. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with that, but
Out
they
of Pennsylvania.
they have 900 gas station convenience stores between Maine and Florida. Not a lot in this, my part of Connecticut, but a lot of stores. They have employed the same population for 30 years. And they have over 500 what they call supported employees. So they've been doing this a long time and have been very successful at it. And they have seen the things that were mentioned in this Harvard Business Review report. They have seen increase in customer loyalty. They've even seen, they love the employee retention, that these employees are so loyal. They see the other employees being retained longer. So they just think it's a huge plus for their organization. But the story that we tell employers is this story, and it's when the guy that's given us advice is the senior vice president who oversees their supported employment group of 500 people. When a manager calls him and says, I'm having a problem with one of my supported employees, how do I handle this problem? And he said, virtually 95% of the time, he said, I will say to that person, how do you handle this problem with a neurotypical person? And he said, there's always a little bit of a pause. And the manager goes, oh, you mean I handle it the same way? And he says, yes, you handle it the same way. So, you know, it is a bit of education, you know, that everybody wants to be treated the same. I think sometimes not pointing out a small problem to somebody doesn't work in the long run. You know, you should, a boss should treat everybody the same. So I think it's still an education. We have to continue educating people. And I guess that's the bottom line. You know, we have to tell everybody that we just want it, that you guys want to be treated the same way that everybody else is treated. And, you know, basically giving kudos for all the good things you do. And we all make mistakes. If you make a mistake and you do something wrong, you know, you just have your boss tell you, hey, you know, you made a mistake there. Let's work on trying to correct that next time. So, you know, I think it's just going to take time, but I think it is getting better.
Thank you.
Great question, Robin. Thanks. Ashley, you've had your hand up for a very long time. Go ahead.
So my question is that I work at a place where people are very, very vocal with what they have to say, and then they have like very different anger management problems. If there are people that work at your coffee shop that have that, is there a place where they could go to cool down?
Yes, I mean, we've experienced that. And remember, I did touch on this a little bit, that it's those interpersonal skills or soft skills or essential skills or professional skills, whatever you want to call them. Because we have three, if you think about it, we have 3 trainees on each shift working 4 shifts a day. So every 3 hours, the shifts change. So we used to have one group that came in and got dropped off, and every time they came in, they were arguing. So we basically had to tell them every time, like, you guys can't argue. You know, this is a real job. These are real paying customers. I'm your real boss. And this is not, you know, this is a real job. And believe it or not, they figured it out and they learned how to be professional. It's called being professional. I think anger management may delve into something a little bit bigger. We've never seen huge anger management. We had one young man, but he decided not to come back. He did have a little bit of that occasionally, and he decided not to come back. I mean, it is a real business, and I'm sure in your real world, I don't know what your job is, how customer facing it is, but when you're in a customer facing role as a coffee shop, you're constantly having anywhere from babies all the way up to 95-year-old people coming through the door all the time, you know, and they're looking for a nice hot cup of coffee and a muffin. And so you can't, you know, you have to put your smile on your face, and that's called being professional. And if you're upset about something, that's your personal life. We talk a lot about what's a personal conversation and what happens at home or with your friend or your families, and what's a professional conversation all the time. So, you know, we work on customer facing skills all the time, right, Alexandra?
Oh, yes.
And how do people get there? Do they have like their own transportation, or is there like vans or buses that they
So
bring?
Yep, that's a great question. So we were founded by two organizations. One is the church whose campus we sit on. We're separate from both of those organizations. So we're separate from the church and we're separate from Ableist. So Ableist, you do not have to be an Ableist client to work at Coffee for Good. But if you need help with transportation or if you need a job coach, either of those things, that if you need help with transportation, then we ask you to become an Ableist client. Now, we've had a lot of people come in recently who are not Ableist clients, and they get themselves here on their own. So the transportation is not something we do. We just, one of our newest trainees lives in White Plains, which is in Westchester. It's in New York. And because it's an entirely different, our town is one of the, is the last town in Connecticut before you go over into New York. So we're close to him, but we're not close to him in terms of public transportation. So his parents believe that this training platform is so valuable that they're willing to pay for an Uber to come to take him, because they don't live here. They live up in Massachusetts, to take him from his apartment in White Plains to Coffee for Good and then back to his apartment. So we do, we don't do transportation, I guess is the best way to say it. You would need to get yourself here on your own.
Deb.
Phone call if I use the restroom. Yes.
Deb.
Yes.
How
Alexandra?
about if we go
For
to
example, I live in Greenwich. I can walk. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Alexandra can walk. When she worked for us, she walked to the coffee shop.
Right.
But we are close. We're literally a block away from the Post Road. So we're very close to the Post Road bus route. And we have a young man who comes, we've had people come on the train route also. It's about a 15-minute walk. It's only about a 2-minute walk down to the bus route, but it's about a 15-minute walk to this Metro North train station in Greenwich.
Thank you. Let's go over to Megan next.
Hi, Deb.
Hello.
So I was thinking about for your desserts. That's my first question. Do you guys
Desserts?
do cupcakes, brownies, or cakes at your company?
Yes.
Okay.
We sell yummy. We make
My
our own
Another
brownies,
question
chocolate chip
is,
cookies.
can you have a coffee shop to move to your hometown closer to you?
You mean close to you?
Yeah, like in our hometown.
Well, this is my hometown, so for me, it's close.
No, I
enough.
know, but like for like other
Yeah.
people, I know it's your hometown, but for like other people who live in one
Yeah.
area or
Yeah.
closer.
Yeah. You know what? On one hand, starting a coffee shop's not that hard. On the other hand, it is hard. So if you're thinking about starting a coffee shop, please come on down and meet me, and we can talk about how you would start a coffee shop. But getting back to the desserts, we have a young lady who just finished an online baking program, one of our trainees. And each week we're going to start doing a different cake that's made by her. And it's going to be called Emily's Creation. So if you follow us on Instagram, which is Coffee for Good Greenwich on Instagram, you'll start to see that starting tomorrow. I think we're going to make an apple rose cake. Emily will make an apple rose cake tomorrow. So
And
yeah,
also one thing, you're gonna love me for this. Forever can hear this. I'm a baker, so I
okay,
can
hold on.
bake.
Can you hold on for 1 second? Somebody needs me to open the main front door. Hold on, hold on.
Okay.
Deb, I just sent you the link.
Oh,
Just to let
great.
you know.
Okay.
I was on the news, guys. Of course I was.
What channel, Robin?
WTNH, I guess. Is that it?
Sorry about that. Sorry
right.
about that, guys. Our front door was locked and somebody
Okay.
needed to come in.
I like to bake stuff. So for everybody,
Yeah,
I love to
I
bake.
saw Robin this morning.
Thanks, Megan. Appreciate that. Okay, let's go over to Carly. Oh, I think you're on mute, Carly. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Is there a day that you're busy the most with your coffee shop or not really?
That's an excellent question. So believe it or not, Monday is our slowest day and Friday is by far our busiest day. And the week kind of
Yeah.
ramps all the way up to Friday. And then Saturday is kind of up and down, but that's a great question. We didn't expect to see that variance in the week, but we pretty
Yeah.
consistently, Fridays are our busiest days. Great question.
And I
When
bake a
people
lot
need the
too.
most caffeine.
Maybe, I don't know. I
That's
think
them.
I think it's a lot of people too work from home on Fridays and they want a place to meet or work. And I think a lot of people realize Thursday night that they may not have gotten something done during the week and they may have to have a meeting and they schedule it for Fridays. I'm not really sure what it is. We have a lot of regulars. About 60% of our customers are repeat customers, and that number keeps going up. So it's nice. We don't take reservations until 1 in the afternoon. We open at 7:30 in the morning and we close at 5:30 at night on Monday through Fridays. And then on Saturdays, we close at 4 p.m. So every day we're open at 7:30.
I bake a lot of stuff too
Great.
at
I
my
love all the
home for
bakers.
parties. Yeah.
Yeah, my specialty is brownies. That's like
Oh,
my
yum.
go-to.
I make good
I
ones.
love steak, so.
Me too.
And I'll be
I
doing
like-
that kind of job in the future at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like
Getting
as
one
you
somewhere.
said, like for your busiest days, like my busiest days, like during the week is is Thursday, Friday, Monday, because that's when I actually do actual real work.
Yeah. There you go. Same thing.
But the other days, like I don't do much. Like I call it a community
That's why I was
day.
coming.
And I don't like community days, says I do nothing. I don't get paid for doing that. So that's why I like to stay busy and actually do stuff.
Great to stay busy. I know.
Like that. Great, Kimberly. Okay, Bobby had a question in the chat. Bobby, you still here? Yeah, I see you.
Yes, I am.
Do you want to ask your question or do you want me to get it here in
You
the
do
chat?
it.
Okay. Bobby wrote, how many bags of coffee do you do a day? Or do you do? How many bags of coffee?
So we sell it, so we don't measure it by bags, we measure it by cups of coffee sold. And I should know this, a few months ago, we had sold, since we had opened, we had sold 6,000 cups of coffee. On a daily basis, we sell about between 100 and 150 of filter coffee. Our highest seller is lattes. So I'm going to say in total, we sell about, on a slow day on a Monday, about 500 cups of coffee. And on a busy day on a Friday, we sell about 750 cups of coffee a day. But that's all of our coffee drinks. So we sell cold brew. We sell nitro cold brew. We sell filter coffee. Like I said, we sell lattes, cappuccinos, macchiatos, mochas. And a lot of those drinks are just kind of fancy espresso drinks that are all sort of the same thing, but not, I mean, they're not the same. I shouldn't say that, but they're very similar. They're just a little slightly different, I guess is the best way to put it. But yeah, we sell between 500 and 750 cups of coffee a day.
Well, that's a lot of coffee.
It is a lot of coffee. Our coffee, every week we pay our roaster between $700 to $900 a week for the coffee, just the coffee alone. That's not even our milk and everything else.
Oh gosh.
Do you sell
Well,
online at all?
Yes, we have an online store. You can buy
Awesome.
coffee online.
Awesome.
And we have we have a blend. We have 2 blends, in fact. We have one single source, which is a single source means it goes back to one area of the world where that coffee is grown. And then we sell a decaf. And then in
And
the
what would you recommend?
our bestseller, my bestseller is our inclusive brew. That's my favorite. It's a
Awesome.
blend. It's people love our coffee. People really love our coffee.
I love coffee.
Yeah, well, you'll love it. Next time you come
Yeah.
to Coffee for Good, you'll love it. And like I
Well,
said,
unfortunately, I live about 2.5. You're at one point of the state and I'm at the other.
oh,
I live
well, if you ever
very
come
hard
down,
to-
if you're ever coming to New York City, please stop by. We're
Absolutely.
not that far off 95 or the Merritt. We're between the Merritt and 95.
Yep.
Well, I need to get Robin a gift because she's going to be one of our presenters at one of our upcoming meetings, and now I
There
just
you
know
go.
what it is. I just
Well,
decided.
if you tell her what kind of coffee maker we can get it, we can grind it for you. We sell our coffee either as beans or also we can grind it here and sell it to you.
Awesome.
Great. Is there anybody, I know we're kind of coming up on 7 o'clock. Is there anybody who hasn't asked a question yet but would like to? I want to make sure everybody has a chance. Oh, okay. I see Albert and Dan. So Albert, why don't you go first and then we'll go to Dan. Go ahead, Albert.
Robin, I want to give you a little Debbie, I want to give you a little question. I'm a new employee and I'm very I'm new and I'm kind of nervous and kind of still not sure and kind of a little bit jumpy. What's your advice for me?
This is just a sample.
This is just a sample, but what advice would you give to me to make me feel calm and relaxed about working there?
Okay. Well, my first advice is that everyone feels nervous when they begin a new job. So your boss will know that, and your colleagues will know that it's, it's just, that's part of human nature. It's when we try anything new, right? If you're trying a new hobby or sport, if it's new, you're going to be nervous, trying something new. So what you're experiencing is completely normal and everyone's done it. My advice on that would be to maybe calm down a little bit, is to one, recognize that it's normal. So you just kind of got to take it one day at a time. But I would try to find what I mentioned a professional mentor, a professional advisor. So I would talk to people that are in your circle of friends, or maybe maybe a neighbor or friend, somebody you admire, and ask them if they would become your mentor and become your professional mentor and say, do you think that if I'm feeling nervous or not sure how to handle a situation at work, can I give you a call and ask you some advice? And almost everybody loves to help people, and almost everybody loves to give advice. And everybody's been in your shoes. I mean, that's what I said. Everybody has had to start a new position. I mean, you guys were so great with me tonight. I had never done a Zoom PowerPoint before. And your leader, Debbie, was so nice. She said, I'm going to get on early with you and I'm going to help you with this. And trust me, she really had to kind of coach me through it. So people, we've all been there, and you just have to ask for help. So I would try to find that person, and it might not be just one person. Maybe it's two people that you can kind of bounce ideas off and say, I'm a little nervous about this. Is that okay for me to be nervous? Or this is new, and just to get advice.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Great question.
Deb, can we squeeze in 2 more questions? I see Dan and Ryan with their hands up.
Sure, no problem.
Go ahead, Dan. Thanks.
Hey, Deb, I may ask you some questions. When you look at the coffee shop and when you tweet as a customer and call a smile, I always greet them with a smile, with a job. Can you handle that smile?
He's saying always greet people at the coffee shop with a smile, right, Dan? That's what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Okay, there you go, ma'am.
There you go. And I don't know if you guys have seen our logo, but go on to our website afterwards, or you could see it in the slideshow. But our logo is a coffee cup with a big smile. So we work on that all the time, about greeting people and looking them in the eye and giving and welcoming them in. I mean, one of our goals here, our third goal in our mission statement, is to be a warm and inclusive community gathering place. We welcome everybody into the coffee shop, and we hope that this is a place of, community and connection. So yes, being smiling and being warm and inclusive is very important to us.
So that's my goal too. So
Good,
aim-
that's a great goal. That's a great goal to have in life. Always smile, right?
Yep.
Thank you, Dan. Dan has a beautiful smile.
Yes,
All
he
right, let's
does.
hop over to Ryan. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hi, Deb.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Deb. I'm gonna say this. I do have a question. So, let me ask you, the coffee shop itself. Are you guys very aware that we have some people with disabilities that are some global messengers, some are like to speak out for any employment. So my question here is, are you very interested in working with Special Olympics going forward?
So I'm gonna phrase the question. You were breaking up a little bit. You're asking me if I want to work with the Special Olympics going forward? Is that your question?
Yes.
Yes, I'd love to work with the Special
Yes,
Olympics.
that's what I'm asking.
Yes, absolutely. We have, as starting from Alexandra, one of our trainees, who's one of your ambassadors. We walk in the St. Patrick's Day Parade. We walked last 2 years with the Special Olympics group. We know Jamie, who runs the Special Olympics here. One of our very active board members, George Conrad, was supposed to go up and do the golf outing, not golf outing, but golf competition this past weekend that got canceled. So yes, we have a lot of people in our community who are very involved in Special Olympics, and we'd be happy to work with Special Olympics going forward. Absolutely.
Ryan, so I'll put that back on you guys. Think of ways that we could partner with Coffee for Good.
Yeah,
from buying
if
some
the
of their
Special Olympics,
products
if
and
you guys
using
ever
it
want to
as
do a field
gifts.
trip, we'd love.
Put on your thinking caps. Yeah, well, I want to wrap it up. It's a little after 7. I want to be, respectful of everybody's time, in particular Deb's, who was kind enough to take this evening and spend an hour with us and share the amazing story of what she created down at Coffee for Good. I hope you all get to try it and go there. I had the absolute pleasure and privilege of going there and tasting their coffee and experiencing the warmth and welcome that you get when you go there. And I highly recommend it. And I'm thrilled that Deb was able to join us. And we will keep in touch, and we will come up with
Absolutely.
ideas of how we could partner. And
Yeah.
I will send you the website and Instagram and all that good stuff.
Exactly. Follow us on Instagram. We try to post as much as we can, and you can get a real feel for everything that's happening here. But please come and visit. We love our customers.
Great.
Deb,
Yes.
quick question for
Alexandra?
you.
Yes.
When is game night at Coffee for Good?
When is what?
Game night.
Oh, it's this coming Sunday. Our first social event of the year is this Sunday at you should have gotten an invitation. I think it's 3:30, Alexandra.
Okay,
30
I'll be
Sunday
there.
afternoon. Okay, great. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
for
Thanks,
having
Alexandra,
me.
for suggesting this.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for your
Bye-bye.
time. Thanks, Deb.
Oh.
Bye-bye.
Bye.